CTV. This is Chin Tucked Boxing. I'm your boy Jay Slay. But I hit you with this quick chin chat real quick. Say what up to him, man.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in tonight.
Most definitely, man. Like I said, we about to hit you with this quick chin chat, man. It's no longer breaking news. I'm pretty sure a lot of you heard the news already. But we about to chop it up even deeper for you guys, so you can guys get a clear understanding of the news, man. What news am I talking about, man?
Terrence Bud Crawford is allegedly suing Top Rank and Bob Arum for. We'll get into it. Let's talk about it. They're suing Top Rank and Bob Arum. Let's talk about it. We'll break it down piece by piece.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm pretty sure you guys already heard the news now. It's pretty much all over the circuits. It's been all over the airways for the last couple hours. As of today, which is Wednesday, what's today's date? The 13th of January, or the 12th of January. So, Terrence Crawford has dropped a lawsuit, man, and is suing Top Rank for $10 million for damages. They're pretty much claiming, long story short, they're pretty much claiming that Top Rank and Bob Arum was on a smear campaign against them to devalue his what's the word I'm looking for? His profitability, devaluing his product, which is himself as a boxer. It was devaluing him so that he wouldn't earn the proper amount of money. And they saying there was racial bias involved with that. So we're gonna break it down, man, and I'm gonna try to chop it up for you guys so you guys can get a clear understanding on how exactly we ended up where we at now when it comes to, fans playing a part in this decision also. But first, I'm gonna let you talk about it, man. Paul, you heard about this news, man. What did you take away from it, man? What's some of the key points you take away from this, and what do you think Terrence Crawford should do next after this?
Well, for me, it cleared up a lot because, I was kind of frustrated by the situation before we found out everything, and I guess it's my fault with a lot of boxing fans because, at the time, he had re-signed with Bob. And I didn't like that because I think we talked about it on a previous video that he resigned. And I thought that his biggest fights was on the PBC side. And even if he didn't want to sign with PBC, that he could still do, a 1-fight, a 2-fight deal, similar to what Mikey Garcia did or Manny Pacquiao did. So I was like, why would he go back and sign with Top Rank knowing that all his big money fights is on the other side? And I also accused him of letting Bob Arum shit on him in public. And I didn't understand. I'm saying, why does he keep letting this guy shit on him in public and devalue him without him having a rebuttal or saying something back? And, I couldn't figure it out. But anybody that knows anything about a lawsuit or anything to do with court, when you're going through that, your lawyer will always tell you not to make a statement, not to say anything, to be quiet. Similar to Wilder and Fury with his case in the court with Fury. He wasn't allowed to really talk about it. He just kept saying you'll find out when everything come out. So for me, what I'm saying, I have to somewhat apologize to Terrence Crawford because I was guilty of bashing him for letting Bob Arum get away with it. But now that this has came out, it makes perfect sense to why he was quiet. It makes perfect sense to why maybe he had signed with Top Rank. I'm gonna let you tell your theory behind that, which made perfect sense to me. But it cleared up a lot of things for us boxing fans, man. And I think that it opens the door for making the biggest fight in boxing to me by, pretty much dismissing Bob Arum. But also, I think now that Josh Taylor fight is probably dead. So I think, in my opinion, Terrence Crawford's main focus is gonna be the winner between Ugas and Errol Spence.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. You hit the nail on the head when it comes to that Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury lawsuit. That's exactly why a lot of fans didn't understand why Tyson Fury wasn't fighting what he wanted to fight. It was because, like I said, Wilder had his thing going on that he didn't talk about. This situation is very similar to that, man. It's very, very similar. This is only my opinion. I don't have concrete proof of this. This is just how I broke it down in my head because it makes perfect sense to me. Like you said, it makes perfect sense. The only reason why Terrence Crawford was so quiet for these, I say, last 2 or 3 years and fighting all these guys he's been fighting, not associated with PBC, was because he wasn't allowed to fight those guys. Bob Arum has a habit of locking people down in these contracts where he pretty much owns your right as a fighter. You need a recent proof of that. Look at how Mayweather was. Mayweather had to buy out his rights to get out of the contract with Top Rank to get a fight with Oscar De La Hoya. I don't know, a lot of people probably ain't old enough to remember that, but Mayweather had to pay $750,000 to get out of his contract with Top Rank because Top Rank wasn't giving him the fights that he wanted and wasn't giving him the big money fights, and at the same time devaluing him by saying he was boring and nobody wanted to pay for that type of style. So Mayweather had to buy himself out of that contract to fight for himself. This is a similar situation with Terence Crawford. The only difference is Terence Crawford didn't buy himself out of his contract. Terence Crawford, he fulfilled his contract. When he fulfilled his first contract, he thought about leaving, but he had, in my opinion, I think he had an ESPN contract that he had to fulfill. That's why he had to re-sign with Top Rank. If he didn't re-sign with Top Rank that second time, he wouldn't be able to get no fights because he was signed with ESPN, and ESPN has exclusive rights only through Top Rank. So if he would have not signed with Top Rank again, he would have been sitting on the shelf for 2 to 3 years waiting for his ESPN contract to run out, which probably, in my opinion, might not even ran out because with the network, you sign for fights. So you have a certain amount of fights to get out of that contract. So if that's the case, he owed ESPN those amount of fights. So I think he re-signed with Top Rank for the amount of years that he did because he knew I can get 2 fights a year to get out this contract I am. And I'm gonna tell you what else makes perfect sense. This is why Bob Arum fought so hard against the Sean Porter fight. Sean Porter was a big name for PBC. Bob Arum was trying his hardest to get Terence Crawford to fight Josh Taylor instead. He was trying to promote a Josh Taylor fight and only offered Sean Porter $1 million at one point. It was $1 million or $2 million. I think it was $2 million.
I think it was $2 million.
Yeah, some lowball offer. They offered him $2 million for it, and Sean Porter didn't take it. Bob Arum knew Sean Porter wasn't going to take it. The only reason why that fight was forced to happen was because it went to purse bid, and Bob Arum had to let them fight, or he would have lost money on the deal. But Bob Arum knew that was Terence Crawford's final fight to get out of his contract, and there would have been a high point for him to get out of the contract if he wanted to fight, which he did want to fight. So the bash campaign continued. So that's my opinion, man. Me breaking it down that way, what you think about?
Let me ask you a question. Why are you saying that? Do you believe that if that fight didn't go to purse bid, that last fight that he had with Porter, which was his last fight on Top Rank / ESPN, do you think he would still be held hostage by Bob Arum, and he would try to delay that last fight for Terence Crawford to get him to re-sign for a 2 or 3 fight deal?
Absolutely. I think that was the game plan. I think the game plan was to hold Terence Crawford on the shelf for possibly another year. Citing the pandemic is the reason why I can't get you a fight unless it's a Josh Taylor fight. I think he would have waited to build Josh Taylor up first. He probably gave Josh Taylor a little, a welterweight fuller fight first, and then put him in the ring with Crawford. So he probably been on the shelf for another year or two, waiting for his next big fight. Or he would have had to do what Mayweather did, which is pay to get out the contract to get out the fight. So either way, Bob Arum would have won. Bob Arum would either got paid $750,000 for Terence Crawford to get out his contract for one fight, or he would have got what he wanted, which was to build Josh Taylor's name and get him to fight Josh Taylor. So, but I think Bob Arum was looking at it that way. It was a win-win for him. Like I said, the purse bid was pretty much what got Terence Crawford where he is. Even though that fight didn't turn out how a lot of people wanted it to, it kind of left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. It still raised Terence Crawford's profile, and it raised his profile on his way out the door. And this is why, real quick, it kind of pissed me off. You can watch our previous video when I said how the what's his name, Tim Scott interview.
Yes.
How that pissed. This is why it pissed me off so much, because he's a PBC guy, and he was pretty much telling fans what they weren't going to pay for. He's another Bob Arum, in my opinion. This is another Bob Arum. This is another guy telling fighters and fight fans what they need to be and what they need to do to sell and what we need to buy. We as consumers, if we not on the same page, we will never get the fights that we want, man. This is why my whole argument is why I don't get into the conversation with the price splits and all that other stuff. Because we as consumers, we have to play our part as consumers. We can't be giving these talking points and spitting out these talking points that the promoters are spitting out, because they're only doing that to further along their pockets. They're not doing it for our benefit. They're doing it for their pockets. So the whole narrative of Terence Crawford not selling and how Terrence Crawford signed these bad deals and wasn't built right and all that. That are promoters' talking points. Once you break it down to this way, where a man has to sue now, he has to sue to get his point across. To me, it opens the eyes on the sport of boxing, man. And I just appreciate what Terrence Crawford doing, man. He put himself on the shelf, man, and put himself for the whole world to see. Because trust me, so a lot of people don't like this move that he's doing, and a lot of people are going to have a bad taste in their mouth for what he's doing. But yeah, let me know what you think about what I said, man. What's your opinion on all that?
I totally agree with you, man. I think you talked about this maybe like a month ago or a little over a month ago. You said that you believe that the era of having a promoter is getting ready to die, and I believe that. I think this is the turning point. I think for any established boxer in the game, you don't need a promoter anymore. Like, I understand if you're just coming in the game, or you're coming out the Olympics, maybe not even the Olympics, because if you're somebody that's highly ranked in the Olympics, you still got a name. You don't really need a promoter for that. But if you're coming in the game and you're trying to get on, I understand you might have to sign with a Bob Aaron or Lou DeBella or somebody like that. That's understandable. But I think we're getting ready to switch over to an era of boxing where promoters are not needed anymore. I think it's going to be an old school way of doing things, but I think the new school way will be, like you said, where people may have advisors or a management team that pretty much sets them up fights, which I think Terrence Crawford's probably going to do. I don't think he's going to, I would say, sign with PBC. I mean, he may sign a contract where he has a 2-fight deal with PBC, but he won't be a part of the PBC banner, if that makes sense. It's similar to what Canelo just did. Canelo fought Caleb Plant, under the PBC banner, but he was still his own management company. He was his own brand. So I think it's good news, man. I think this is gonna help with making fights. I think, like you said, because the promoter is pretty much brainwashing people, like you said, to believe the narrative that they're spitting. So when they do these interviews and they say this about certain fighters or about a certain fight, or it's not time, or it's not enough money, or this fight is not at a stage yet, or we gotta let it mature, we can cut that out as fans, because we don't need the promoters for that no more. These boxers can be their own brand and managers. So I'm excited, man. I'm glad that Terrence Crawford did it. Like you said, the man was not playing checkers, he was playing chess. And the whole time people thought he was being crazy and being foolish, and he had a game plan. So big up to Terrence Crawford, man. I hope he wins.
Most definitely. I just wish, I'm not gonna lie, this is real quick in closing. I just kind of wish that he played the Mayweather card and actually paid his way out of his contract. But I'm gonna say this real quick. I honestly don't think Bob Arum was gonna allow that to happen either. I think Bob Arum learned his lesson from allowing Mayweather to buy himself out of his contract. Because he seen what happened with Mayweather when he bought himself out of his contract, and then he went on to be the richest guy in the sport after that. So I think Bob Arum, he learned his lesson from that situation. He realized that either I'm gonna get what I want out of these fighters, or they're just not gonna fight. I'm gonna milk them for as much as I can milk them for, and they can't do nothing about it. And touching on real quick what you said about not having promoters, you can kind of see that happening, because promoters are starting to get these network deals to counteract that. Because whether you have a promoter or not, you need a network to show your fights. So promoters seen that coming. The promoters, when Al Haymon came in the scene, when Al Haymon came out and was signing people on their own management rights, having fighters manage them on their own careers, the networks, not the networks, but the other promoters like Oscar De La Hoya and Bob Arum seen that coming. So they started collecting these network deals. ESPN, we got with Top Rank, and De La Hoya signed with Showtime, and so on and so forth. So, in my opinion, this was going to wind up happening. A lot of these networks, like ESPN, already seen the damage it can cause. They already lost out on this Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence fight. So they're going to now start signing fighters for themselves and cut out the middleman, which is Bob Arum. Because like I said before, what I think what happened was they signed Terrence Crawford to a deal, and Bob Arum pretty much held Terrence Crawford to a, made him re-sign with them because they won't give him no fights. Like everybody you have to fight has to be on an ESPN contract, and the only ESPN contracts are through Top Rank. So I think a lot of networks seeing this now, and they're gonna learn from this mistake. They're gonna see the damage it can cause once this lawsuit hit the fan. But I think Terrence Crawford has a great case in this lawsuit, man. It's gonna shake up the boxing world, man. In my opinion, man. I just can't wait to see how this comes out. But you anything else before we close, man? This was a great show.
No, I think we covered everything.
Yeah, man, we'll probably break this down later on because I'm pretty sure more information will come out. And I will continue to make sense of it so I can try to break it down to you guys more. But with that being said, man, this is your favorite channel, man. It's CTB. This is Chin Tuck Boxing. I'm your boy Jay Say. Say what up to him. Peace to him, man.
All right, everybody, remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, comment, tell your mother about it, brother about it, sister about it, cousin about it, co-workers about it, tell your pastor about it, tell your next door neighbor about it. Let's keep this channel growing. You know why? Because we love boxing and you love boxing, but most of all, God, peace, and love, and we out of here.